Mass Effect 1, otherwise known simply as Mass Effect, had you fighting the Geth. This was a brand new game, and the Geth a brand new enemy. In later games, you'd learn more about them, even recruiting one of them to your crew. But one type disappeared. Welcome back, Commander. For the first game in the series, the Geth seemed to be the personal army of Seren, the main antagonist. As well as the standard platform, there'll be the Colossus, the Primes, and the Hopper. As the series progresses, the variations will diminish, with the Colossus only appearing once in Mass Effect 2. But there is one type that never made it out of the first game, and that's the Hopper. The Hopper is a fascinating Geth lore-wise. The Quarians didn't recognise them. For those of you not up to speed with the Quarians, allow me to give you a quick version. The Quarians created the Geth to use as tools, manual labour, dangerous jobs, that sort of thing. When they became sentient, the Quarians tried to shut them down. The Geth resisted, resulting in what was known as the Morning War. The Quarians lost the war and were forced to flee their home, destined to live the rest of their life as nomads. Okay, so now that you know the background to them, for them to say they don't recognise the Hopper, it can only mean one thing: the Geth are evolving. And that's why it's quite sad that they never made it into Mass Effect 2 and 3. The Geth Hopper's body is made of a spongy synthetic substance that looks like organic muscle tissue. This can be compressed and then released, allowing the Hopper to jump enormous distances or hop from one place to another, hence the name given to them by the Alliance soldiers. It also has these tiny little hooks on its hands and feet, allowing it to grab hold of the walls and ceilings. The Hopper is the overall name, and they're actually split down into 3 subtypes. There's the Geth Stalkers, which is a disabler platform, the Geth Sappers, which is an assault platform, and the Geth Ghosts, which is a sniping platform. The Stalker is armed with the disabling abilities that zaps weapon heat systems and personal shields. You're hit by one of those, and you'll be switching out your gun pretty quickly. But they do require a few seconds charge before firing. They can also fire regular energy pulses from their main eye that deals toxic damage. These types can be found on Feros, Nevera, Vermire, and Ilos. The Geth Sappers, these Hoppers are mostly white. The Sapper's main eye deals the toxic damage just as before, and compared to the other Hoppers, it actually relies on this more than its other weapons, and it serves as an assault platform for the regular Geth types. And these ones are also found on Feros and Ilos. And finally there's the Ghosts, probably my favourite out of the 3. These are considerably darker in colour to blend in their surroundings, and they glow blue on parts of their body a bit like the Stalkers. The Ghosts are a dedicated sniping platform, capable of shredding the enemy kinetic barriers in preparation for its long-range assassination, but it doesn't have any radiation burst weaponry like the other 2, mostly because it's designed to work at distance. The units can be found on Feros and Vermire. The Hoppers tend to jump between fixed points known as nodes, and getting them to stay still long enough is the most of the challenge in defeating them. One hit, and it reset their attack pattern. So what happened to them? Well, they were actually intended to be in Mass Effect 2, however the developers were unable to get them working correctly. With Mass Effect turning from a tactical RPG shooter hybrid into more of a cover-based third-person shooter with RPG elements, the combat system was overhauled. The hopping nodes wouldn't always work, and when it did, it was unbalanced for the player. In an interview back in 2011, producer and designer Brennan Holmes had this to say: "At the start of Mass Effect 2, we went through and upgraded a lot of the combat systems, including navigation. For navigation, Hoppers had some of the most complex systems. The hopping nodes broke a lot and were difficult for level designers to lay out in such a way that it could make a consistently decent fight. Additionally, there was only really troublesome for the player. AIs were not having this issue with them, since they're able to aim much quicker and more accurately, a bit like when fighting those little explodey Rachni in Mass Effect 1, it was always easier to let your henchmen do them. We did a few prototypes involving full-on wall running with variable gravity, with the ability to leap across various surfaces in an attempt to make a better hopping system, which turned out pretty good. But since they were the only enemies in the game that could really utilise the system, and it would have been a lot of work to make good, they were cut. Unfortunate, since I rather liked them, but sadly that sort of thing happens relatively frequently in any kind of large-scale project. Hope that explains where they went and why. So where did the Hoppers end up? Well, in lore you could say that they were products of the Heretics, the units that weren't destroyed by Shepard during Mass Effect, or the pockets of resistance that Shepard wiped out after the Battle of the Citadel were probably rewritten or deactivated by Legion. In reality, they ended up nothing more than a couple of leftover lines of code in Mass Effect 2. A sad end to a unique design. But would you like to see the Hopper come back in future Mass Effect games? Or have they had their moment? Let me know down in the comments. And to see why the Normandy should come back for future Mass Effect games, you'll need to watch this video that's right here. Don't forget to hit that like button or support the channel by hitting the join button for membership. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Commander. These types can be found on Ferrus, Nevera, Virmire and Ilos.